Hello, and I want to just show off a little plugin I created. It's for creating more complex dialogues in a more simple way, or rather, it's a refactoring of a previous project I had and extended with a custom editor for the assets. First of all, if you want to create one, you just go into Assets, select Dialogues, create a dialog, then it pops up here and you just double click it. Usually it starts without any notes. This is a previous one I created already. But let's just go and start from that. This is just a default setup. If you add then a step, this one is showing up a little bit of opaque to indicate this step node can't be reached yet. If we add a second one and add an entry point, as you can see, the border is now opaque and green to just visualize more direct that this is an entry point. If I would now connect this one, it also gets the opaque border to show this step can be reached. Then more details for what you can modify. One of them is the continuous automatically option. The continuous automatically option is if you want to just progress from one to the next step based on a time basis. To use it, you will have to use data. For example, if you use the animation data, and you have an animation playing, it checks, okay, how much time does it take for this to play? And once it's finished, it automatically goes into the next, in the follow-up. If you don't have an asset, you use the duration. Well, the other option is using audio and text. Well, as it says, you have an option to show text and audio. Same with the animation, it checks with the auto duration or duration if there is a missing assets. If you don't do this, it instead shows the title of the next step. This one, by default, I would recommend to just keep it continue, but you can also enter there something on your own, like option 1, option 2, whatnot. And if you then are in the dialog, it shows up as a button, and when you press it, it just goes from here to the next one. Another option is dialog exit. There, if you have if you go in there and you then advance with the dialog and you have it true, first of all, it shows as yellow, and function-wise, well, as it says, the dialog will end there. It just pops out after it. Then for the information of the content, as I showed before, there is data you can enter and a title. And with the speaker ID, with this tag, you identify and get access transmitted for who is speaking, like what's the name, what's the profile icon to use. The specification of this will be not done inside here. Instead, you go into the actor where you have the dialog component added and use this part. There you have then the corresponding reference to the ID, the name that will be shown, the image that will be shown, and well, here you add the dialog that this actor is using. Then let's just jump back in. For the setup of one step, you can use the same step with an entry with the same tag multiple times. And I'm not sure if I already told that, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend to use this because you can confuse yourself on multiple points. One of them is if you go for searching and then you look for the tag gameplay queue. Oops. Why? There we go. It shows it once. If I now copy this one And we update. Well, there we have it. You have it twice. Then you don't know which one you mean exactly, and a perfectly identifiable tag would be more useful for this reason. Another option, another problem with this would be then if you actually work and want to debug. At the moment, there is no debugger visually indicating in which step you are. And if you have the node somewhere off in the screen and you expect to be going in here, but actually pop in here, and you're wondering then, okay, why is it not never going in here? The reason for that is if you have multiple entry points valid and you don't specify which one to take perfectly, it just picks one of them random. You can limit this by adding requirements and then to say, okay, same entry tag, but this one only happens if this situation is given, and this one if this situation is given, and so on. You can use this, but as I said, it's a bit unintuitive to debug in some cases. The requirements are not only for the entry points, though. Here is the example dialog I'm using. There I added two different requirements. One of them is making it so that the dialog option will be shown, but not the requirement failed. And the other one is failed and not visible. So this way you can customize what kind of information you want to show up under what condition. All these nodes can also be created custom. If we go into the step example, where do we have it? Here. There you can override these functions. Check requirement, by default, it's just going through all the requirements that are added onto the node, and then it pops out, is it good? Can it play? Yes, no, done. This usually should not be overwritten, but if you want to do it custom, instead of using requirements, you can do everything in there step by step. Same goes for execute step. Usually it would be done out here when you get the feedback on dialog update, on update dialog, sorry. But you can do it inside here as well, of course, where you get the, this one it was, where again gets context reference, and then you can play the animation, play the audio, show the text, whatever you want to do from there. Also, an option is you can customize the body color if you want to, but not that important. Then for the dialog, for the requirements, same thing. You can customize the color. You can set the requirement check. You give the feedback passed, failed but visible, failed but hidden, as I said. And then you can build your more complex dialogues. As you can see, there is one way to split them up, merge them again together, no problem. You can also have different entry points. Let's say this one would be from tests. It can then go there and into these, no problem. It can do this automatically, progressing, can manually progress. And yeah, for the control, if you want to do this more manually, instead of the UI, well, one of them is using the default UI I'm providing. There you just get a text box with an image that will show up, the name of the speaker, the text that is, if you go into the step, set up here. And then below there will be the options. The options are if we're in this step, these three would be the options showing up. Sorry, this one would be the option that is showing up. If we're in here, it's these three showing up. The order of them at the moment, it's not sorted by left to right. It is actually sorted by the order it was added. For example, here, this one was added first, then this one and this one. We will see that in a bit, where the order is not in this one. This is something I have to update in the future, but it works so far. Then, right, these options, they are just buttons. They're either visible and enabled or not visible. And if you don't want to use that, you can also do the progress through blueprints. You just have to access the dialog component to start it, called start dialog. All you have to do is tell which point to enter, who are the other participants. Usually, if you just want to have a monologue, no problem. This is then without other participants added. Here you can add multiples. This is just going to be a reference then for the tags and which actor it is. So the data is sent to the correct actors and so on for visualization. Another thing, this is going to come up maybe later, but there is one option in the example widget where you can pick this option. Is only visible when speaker. As it says, the widget would be then only visible if the speaker, which this asset is part of, is speaking. If it is not, it's not visible. To do this, for example, you would have to do it with an Word 3D widget where you then spawn it, then you call at begin play, set awning pawn to the widget and set it. And this would be then, for example, if you want to have an dialog bubble, for example, and a speak bubble attached to the actor. For now, I'm just doing it with default setup where you have a widget on your viewport, and I am updating it automatically through the default through the example widget. But you can all do it all through these delegates from the dialog component as well. The one over here is on dialog status change. This is basically just reporting, did it start, did it end? If it ends, I'm just removing the widget from the viewport again. And every step it progresses, it calls update dialogs. There you get the message. This is basically the data you send out from the execute step. There you contain speaker and the data, and continues automatically. Speaker info is this data, name and image, if you want to use it. Participant just gives you feedback of all the actors that are participating. Current node, reference to the current node. Basically, if we're here, gives reference about this node. And the options gives you reference to, oops, sorry, break is the one. How is it visible? And what is the next step? This one is then necessary, for example, if you want to call the function advanced dialog, where you then enter the step you chose. If you don't enter a step, that's also an option, no problem. But then it will just pick one random that is allowed to progress with. And yeah, you just continue with that. Another function you can use, I just completely forgot, is of course you can stop it. This is stop dialog. If you want to abort it, you use the same function. You can give it a reason. Reason at the moment is only for debugging, to write it into the log. Not so much functionality-wise, but if you want to do this, you can always overwrite the dialog component and use it or expand on it. Yeah, this is of the setup so far, just to show how it exactly works. If we go with the default setup over here, we start, dialog started. As you can see over here, I set the speaker ID is test generic tag. We are this actor where it starts. This says it's this one. It realizes, okay, that's the name of the speaker. I don't have an image at the moment. That's why you don't see anything over here, but here's the name. Then if we see, okay, there is just one option. This is continue, it says continue. If you continue there, you see option 1, 2, and continue. As I said before, it goes by the order of how it was added, not by visually how it's sorted here at the moment. Would be something to do in the future. But yeah, everything works so far. And then if we go into option 2, we will see this option, but not passed. 2b is same, and this one is not visible as all 2c. So option 2, as you can see, option 1, 2a can't be interacted with, 2b can be interacted with, will be an end. So if I go here, and we are out. So we entered into this dialog. There is then a continue button to just get out of the dialog, and we are out at the end. Did I forget anything to how to use it? I don't think so. I can just show off if I go for this one, for example, if I don't want to have it on my viewport, instead of I want to have it onto the actor. There we go. Start dialog. There it is. You would have then, of course, to add widget interaction to progress or bind the communication from your controller or keyboard inputs to this actor to advance, but that should not be too difficult to achieve for you. Then some features, I already saw some things that I wish to update into the future, but other features I am trying to get to into the future would be, as I said, the execute step in blueprints function, the details there, to get better access to make it more easy to override from blueprints. Another thing I already told about was the debugger to visualize in which step we are actually in on runtime, just like it works with the behavior tree. But then some other things I haven't talked about yet would be a loop option. At the moment, dialogues only progress linear. So basically from top to bottom, but you can't go from here back to here or to somewhere over here, which then could reach here again. At the moment, well, to some degree, it is looping in the sense of if it is not an end and you continue, it just pops out to the last choice you made. So basically, if I would not end here, it would pop up here and show the options again. But yeah, there is the next feature I would like to add in the future is to remember what choices and options have been taken, just for visual updates, but also for save game reasons. At the moment, it's not natively included, but maybe I will get an idea how to do that in the future. If you have any other ideas, what I can improve on it, if you have any user feedback, how it feels to interact with it, let me know. And yeah, feel free to use it, and I hope you enjoyed.